So, welcome everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. We call it Clearcast. I am Deeps, a co-founder CEO of Clear Trust, and today we are going deep on something every publisher cares about. So, let me get to some of the interesting questions which I thought I should ask you. And before that, I would say if you are a publisher listening to this, you have probably felt it. CPMs are not as stable as they used to be. The tech stack is always expanding, and especially with a lot of AI-based control. Identity is getting harder every quarter. And just that when you think you are in control, Google clawbacks show up at the end of the month and wipe out your progress, especially in the last quarter of the year. So today we are not just talking theory, we are breaking it down in terms of the real mechanics between revenue growth and the strategies that help publishers scale without losing control. I mean, I am fired up for this conversation because I'm joined by Raquel, the CEO of Adapex. Adapex helps publishers make more money, especially through Google-powered monetization and other programmatic monetization, with an approach that's designed for performance, visibility, and automation. So, Raquel, welcome. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Deeps.
So here is what we are covering today. Raquel's day one priority. I mean, you inherited an already successful team. So what was your first move to earn trust, move fast, and push new paths to grow revenue?
Okay, that's a great question. So my background is actually in sales. I've been in programmatic for about 25, 30 years. And I started on the sales side. And I find that the best way to work with a team is to build trust with that team and build relationships. So when I came into Adapex a year ago, I did a listening tour not only with our internal team to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of the organization, but then also with our clients as well. And so that to me is an extremely important part of being able to move fast, because if you don't have the trust of the team, if you don't have the relationships, and if you can't get everyone to row in the same direction, frankly, then you're going to have an issue even if you have a good technology.
So your first move, as you said, was to kind of get along with the team, understand your customers, have conversations with them, and kind of then build that to move faster.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I also came to know about your 4-layer platform. So can you help us break that down in terms of how those layers work together? And more importantly, how they change how publishers think about monetization?
Okay, so Adapex is an ad monetization platform and technology for publishers. Okay. We're also creating advertising solutions, but we did start with our M4 suite, which has a pre-bid wrapper. Okay. And it's a really good one. We've been iterating on it. We're up to the latest version of pre-bid, and we optimize it based off of what performs the best and what works best for our publishers. In addition to that M4 technology suite, we also have Matrix, which is an analytics dashboard. Now, we had a legacy platform when I first started. And as I said, I went on a listening tour, and our clients and our internal team felt like we needed to update our platform. So we have just released a new reporting and dashboard, which is based off of pre-bid data. The old platform was based off of network data or SSP data. And we do feel like this platform is more faster, stronger, easier to read, and has more features to get better insights, because publishers need good insights in order to make decisions. Then we also have Magma, which is an on-page console that can see any bugs on the page that the publisher may have. And so that's really important to the system. And then lastly, we have Magnify, which is an ID solution, which takes over 20 ID partners, and it's the ID spine for knowledge for our technology. So when the cookies started deprecating, we started to create this ID spine because we did notice a decrease in RPMs and CPMs for publishers. With this ID spine, we see a 4 to 8% uplift for our publisher, especially for Safari, Firefox, outside of Chrome. So that really is the backbone to our technology. We can utilize that first party data to improve our customers.
So you're saying you're working with 20 partners on the side, and then so you have access to that first party data, and you're able to identify the user, I would assume, right, very clearly, and then tailor customization, custom ads for them, probably.
Yes. So the ID spine, which is ID5, UID, Hadrian, multiple different ID partners make up the backbone of our header bidder. So not every header bidder has an ID spine in it. And I do think that that gives us a leg up over other partners. Sometimes they'll have one ID or two IDs, but the challenge with that is there's not only one ID partner that works in this market, there's multiple partners. And so we took a decision to partner with all of the major ID partners to ensure that we didn't leave any user untouched, because when you don't have cookies, you need a connector to that. We also recently have added in an ID-less solution as well, because there are now ways that you can target the user through the browser as well and on the edge.
Okay. Okay. This is really cool. I think, yeah, I haven't, we have been working with other platforms who do header bidding, but haven't heard of this in terms of having multiple partners to kind of, so the accuracy increases, you're able to narrow it down properly.
Yes. And as you said, enrich the bid so that the publishers get a better uplift on those users that they can't reach if they don't have the IDs. And then also, if they're going to do any PMPs or any curation, it also helps with audience segmentation.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. I mean, in your platform, dynamic flooring. I mean, sounds smart in theory, but it is complicated in practice. So, can you walk us through with your approach, and more importantly, how publishers should think about automation without losing control? One of the things which you just mentioned about Magma, I think Magma is able to look through the page, identify errors. I'm assuming it's an AI-based platform.
Yes.
And so, what other automations can the publishers think about where you can help, and walk us through with your approach in terms of dynamic flooring as well?
Okay. So I've been in this business for a long time. Okay. AI is machine learning, right? I'll say it's machine learning on steroids. And so, but the bottom line is it's still a machine. And so automation is amazing. I mean, I get so much done with chat that I wasn't able to get done before, but I have to check it and I need to make sure that it has the right information. The same thing happens with AI, with technology, with advertising and programmatic, okay? You still need a human in the loop to look at it to make sure that it's working the way that you want it to work. So, with our flooring solution, theoretically, AI should be able to make improvements. And I would say in 60% of the cases, it does. But then we have other clients that we implement it and it doesn't do well. So it's critical. The way that I look at things, because I've been in this business for a while, is you need good technology, but you also need good service and good people with the expertise to make sure that the technology works. Okay. So, yes, we are selling technology for publishers to help them and make their lives easier so they don't have to use those resources, and we're doing it for them. We're that technology layer for them. They don't have to partner with 40 ID partners. They don't have to partner with flooring partners. They don't have to partner with SSPs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They use us for that and they can focus on their editorial. But you need to make sure that the partner that you're working with doesn't just rely on technology,
Hmm.
because technology does not always work in the way that we expect it to work.
Right.
Now, yes, we want to have the best, the latest, the greatest, but you still have to have people monitoring it, making sure it's achieving the customer's KPIs and objectives and is acting in the way that we think that the technology should work.
It's not you just switch it on and forget it. It'll not work that way. Whether it is even if the highest version of a model, it'll not work that way. So you're right. I think there is a human in the loop matters a lot, and especially when publishers, I would say, are constantly under this threat of AI slop. I'm sure this question you might also be getting from your publishers, that is somebody scraping my data, building a clone of my website, trying to do stuff like this. So do you get these kind of questions?
So it depends on the publisher. Some of our publishers are interested in making sure that their data is utilized properly, and others aren't. We do have a few publishers who have asked us to not use their data, and we are very respectful to privacy policies and working with partners in the way that they want to work. But in other cases, we also have a curation solution that we have that our publishers can make money off of their data as well.
Nice.
So it just depends on the client's needs. We always want to make sure that we're working with our publishers as a partner and that we're working towards their objectives and their KPIs and their needs. So each publisher's needs vary.
And do you also work with publishers on kind of innovating on different types of ad formats, or because you might see that the mid rectangle works or the leaderboard works, and then there could be other formats also based on the type of contents publishers are weaving into their portals. So do you also suggest them and advise them that, hey, this let us experiment with this new one and this would probably work better than the other ones?
So we're constantly developing new ad formats, and that's a very important part of their revenue monetization. And yes, we always are doing that, making suggestions. There are some monetization partners that will put up formats without talking to the publisher. We try to partner with the publishers and discuss with them about those formats prior to putting them up on their website. We like to get approvals because we view our relationships as partnerships. We also have worked with some publishers where we're trying to win their business and they do an A B test. We noticed some of the ad monetization partners do some things on the back end, like running multiple ads and that kind of thing to try to increase the performance that are a little bit, I would say, borderline shady.
Right, right.
And so you really do have to be careful with the monetization partners that you work with because
Yeah.
if you're looking at different partners, maybe you're not sure about your revenue and you want to try something new. And I think that's always important as a publisher, right? You need to test and learn and work with a partner who also does that. But you also have to be careful because there are some players out there that do some things on the back end, and you need to understand what that is and whether or not
Right, right.
it's done the right way.
Right, right, right. Is it black, white, or gray? So there are interesting gray techniques also, which ad monetization partners. So, and some of them do, and they try to hide it in plain sight. But it's kind of nice. I mean, and one of, I think, your differentiation is also the bid signal gap. I mean, you mentioned that most publishers think their revenue problem is demand scarcity when it is actually visibility scarcity. So, what is this bid signal gap, and why it is costing publishers, I mean, 15-20% of their revenue?
Well, it's what we discussed earlier with the ID spine and the ID-less spine. Essentially, with the cookies deprecating and with fragmentation across the board, we have to find ways to reach those users that the cookie no longer exists. Let's say I'm based in the US. I use an Apple phone, right? I have Apple in my house. There's no cookies on Apple, right? It's Safari. So now if I'm trying to reach me through an ad, I need a different way to do so. So through our ID spine now, I can be reached. So for a publisher, if you're working with a partner that doesn't have a bid enrichment tool, or doesn't have one that's robust, then you're missing out on users, right? In addition to that, then if I want to target those users through audience targeting, then I can't do that either. So it's really on the front end of enriching the bid.
Right.
And then after to, target that user through either curation or through PMPs, through that first party data signal. And through our technology, which also utilizes AI, it can read the topics that the users are. So if, let's say I'm going to a travel site,
Right.
or if I'm going to PC World and I'm looking at an article on technology, it can see what the user is reading, the topics it's looking at, and then create audience segments based off of those topics. So now not only can we target based off of contextual, like so the IAB categories, but now we can also customize audience segments. And the possibilities are really limitless. Like if I want to target a mother whose child is playing, I'll say football because we have the whole games going on right now, but I can do that because I can see what the users are reading about.
Right.
So as an FYI, I think it's quite we couldn't do that in the past. You couldn't just customize targeting. But now with this technology where you can view all of the words on the page, see what the clients are reading, through AI, we can do this. In the past, we can only see it through third party data, which was directional. This is much more deterministic.
Yeah, this is extremely powerful, what you mentioned. Actually, you're actually looking at the screen with consent of the user. You know what he's looking at, what he's reading, he or she is reading, and then this enriches the bid big time. And I think this could command higher CPMs. You get the premium slots. I think there could be a very good lift in this. This is amazing technology which you guys are doing. I'm not sure if I heard other people doing it at the moment, but I'm sure people are running to AI for whatever help we can provide. But it is very delicate. It has to be crafted well because it could increase the also.
They are doing it on the advertising side. So there are AI partners out there that are looking at what's happening and then targeting on the buyer side. It is more unique on the sell side because I come from the buy side. And typically things start on the buy side and work their way over to the sell side.
So how has your experience over the past? You said you've been in sales on the buy side and then you're on the sales side. So I think how has this experience helped you in Adapex? You got the whole supply chain story now, probably very clear.
Well, we are in the process of creating an advertiser solution. Well, because we have this network of sites through our monetization partnerships, we're going to be going to buyer advertisers and agencies and letting them know that we can do audience targeting through curated data and inventory within our network, but it's really a monetization universe, right?
Right.
And so if I'm going to an advertiser and I have my advertiser hat on, I don't want to target advertisers through third party data because it's, again, directional. If you can get closer to this first party data, which is through the publisher's websites, it's much more performative.
Very.
And that's what we've been working on since I got here as well, as I'm trying to, you know, make changes on the sell side as well.
Got it. No, this definitely helps, I think, because you have a complete monetization universe on one side. Advertisers do see direct value here. Instead of giving the ad tech tax, they could kind of directly partner with your monetization universe and Yeah, I think data is key. And I think more than data, you have information now. You have data also and information also, which can be utilized well. Another question I had is that, I mean, every publisher's nightmare is this Google chargebacks, clawbacks. End of the month, typically it's supposed to happen, but I hear from my friends it happens last quarter of the year. It's very terrible for a lot of people after Christmas. For some reason, Google and Yahoo, they pick up their stuff and start analyzing everything they have. So since you focus on growing revenue, now we are partnered together. So how do you see the importance of filtering out this traffic in time rather than waiting?
So, this is a really important question right now for publishers. Earlier today, we spoke to a publisher who actually had an issue with Google and clawbacks because they work with us, but they also work with AdSense. And this has been going on now for the past 2 or 3 years, where IVT has been an issue within space. A lot of SSPs were found to have IVT within their supply chain. Buyers have been pushing back. There's a whole company now created to cleaning up the chain or consulting with buyers. I don't know if you heard of them, Jounce.
Yeah.
And they score your demand. And frankly, it's hurt a lot of publishers and a lot of monetization partners as well. Okay. I think the cat is out of the bag. It's moving in this direction. And frankly, advertisers don't want to pay for IVT within the supply chain, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? So with us, me coming into this ecosystem, we had a few things right away when I started with IVT. One, it was within in-app and CTV, and then it started within web as well. And so it's been evolving. And when this started happening, we needed to make a partnership decision about what were we going to work with to ensure that our publishers were safe. That before we filtered out the IVT prior to it going in the supply chain. So we did some research, and that's how we found you. I will say that some of our publishers still are getting used to the fact that, there's this new way. They don't understand why some of the traffic is being filtered, and it would be like very, very helpful to be able to have educational materials to explain it to them. Because me just saying, oh, there's more IVT in the marketplace and we're getting clawbacks and all of that is hard for a publisher to understand. So I do think that the industry in general could do a better job of sort of helping the publishers understand.
Right, right, right. I think, yeah, publishers, especially as a breed, is not very technical.
Right.
If you try to make them understand, they probably would look the other way. They would not understand what you're trying to say. Yeah. And especially it's getting very tighter for them, right? To make
Yeah.
the same content and the same portal.
Well, it's getting tighter for us too as a result, right? I think all companies right now are having to adapt not only to, the change in cookies and then IVT and all of that, but now also AI as well. And I'm not talking about AI like in the sense of like the technologies that we use to improve our solution. I'm talking about the way that people used to search to find publishers,
Yeah.
because they used to be able to go to Google, do a search, and then go to the site. Now, AI, you get a synopsis and not from every player. So you don't even have to go to the website anymore. And it's hurt publishers' traffic.
Yeah. Yeah. How much do you think it has hurt? I mean, someone says 40%, 30%.
It's significant. We have seen a decrease, yeah, I would say 30%.
Yeah, because now I think either they get into a GPT ad or a conversation with Claude, they should figure out. I mean, they should feature there so that people can discover from there. I think that'll take a little bit of time, but I do see that sponsored ads from GPT are there. Then you have Anthropic also, I think, playing with some stuff. Google is coming up with sponsored overviews in the overview synopsis itself. But I think, yes, the 20-30% damage is very significant for a lot of publishers.
Unless you're a huge publisher that has some clout, like if you're the New York Times, you're Yahoo even, unless you're huge, you don't have the clout to go to Google and say, "Well, you're hurting my traffic." I mean, I think it's an industry problem right now.
Right. And in terms of Adapex, so what are your plans of expansion? How are you expanding? I think you have an office in the US, in India, other places also you have an office. What are your expansion plans?
So in terms of expansions, we have 2 offices in the US. We do have 2 offices in India. So we, are pretty strong in both. We also have an office in Eastern Europe as well, and in the UK. And so in terms of expansion, it's less about geographic expansion and more about moving into the advertising realm. So to win more quality publishers and then go and help them sell their advertising for their websites and for their audiences. And I think it's more about that expansion than geographic expansion.
Right. And in terms of the publishers you have, the universe of publishers, these are all mostly business to consumer publishers, right? I mean, these could also be
We can also do business to business as well. And we do have a few B2B publishers. I work with B2B publishers on both the buy side and the sell side. But I actually think there's a unique benefit to B2B publishers because their audience is fiercely loyal. They have a good subscription base and they can really make good use of emails as well.
right. And it's not dependent on Google search or any other search platform. It's a captive audience, which is
Right.
available. And do you also, it's only publishers, I'm assuming. So the other formats, for example, I'm just thinking loud when AI is having a problem with search. Do you also focus on other types of instruments which are open to the user, like email newsletters or platforms like Substack or platforms? There are other Medium or other platforms where content is being circulated or written by people, because more and more content is getting generated. It's not only getting published on the websites, but other platforms as well.
So we're continually looking at different, models, right, to improve our revenue base. We have a product team and a partnership team who are always looking at new technologies. We're also looking at agentic AI as well and seeing right now what is fact and what's not hype because a lot of it is hype right now. But from what we can tell, it's still mainly on the buy side, less on the sell side, and there's only really a few that are really strong with it, like Scope 3. But I think that we are always looking at different solutions.
There you see people going to different types of content, whether it is short form content or long form content, blogs, different types of content. So users are also segregated and segmented in these places, not only on the publisher websites. So these places are also good hunting grounds for good audience, especially when you have the ID thing sorted out. Now, this was good, Raquel. I mean, I got to learn a lot of things from you in terms of the ID thing, especially, and what you're doing to reduce the bit signal gap and everything. I mean, the audience for this podcast would be a lot of publishers as well as on the buy side folks and the networks as well. Is there anything you would want to say to them, a message which you would want to have for them?
Well, thank you for asking me that. Well, first of all, I want to just thank you for the conversation as well. It was really enjoyable to getting to know you. I liked our conversation a lot. So I do think Adipex, just in general, is very similar to some of the larger players in the market. We do the managed service ad monetization, which is a full service solution, but we also do just sell the wrapper. So if a publisher has their own demand, that they can work with us as well. So some of the larger publishers, we can work with them on just a wrapper basis where they bring their demand and they can also utilize our demand if they don't have that. I think we're extremely customizable and flexible. And we focus on the needs of the publisher. So um, I think that that's big difference. So I think if you work with us, you get a flexibility and more of a partnership. And I think that's an important, plus you probably get a better, more flexible rate from us, just saying. And if you would like to get in touch with us, and I appreciate you asking that, you can reach out to me at Raquel at adipex.io. We also have our website that you can go to, and I'm really enjoying our partnership as well. I think you have an excellent solution.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are also learning from customers like you. We've been working with quite a few. What does Google like? What Google doesn't like? What should be stopped? What shouldn't be stopped? How do you enhance filters? How do you help the publishers eventually make more money? That's the whole game. So that's where we got from. And I think I also enjoyed the conversation, Raquel. It was very insightful. And thank you so much for taking time. This podcast will be beneficial to a lot of people who are probably looking for these kind of solutions or probably trying to migrate from one of the solutions to or looking for another alternative. It would definitely very helpful. Thank you so much, Raquel. I think it's a day for you, right? Have a good day ahead.
Yes, and you have a good evening.
Thank
Okay, thank you so much, Deeps. It was very nice to meet you, and I really appreciate the partnership.
thank you so much, Raquel. Bye.